What is going on, apes? Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be looking back at a locals match that I played this week. I am the Kinemon player, and we're going to be looking at things that we could have done better. We're going to be looking at things that the Zoro player could have done better. I do want to apologize in advance for some of the glare on the Zoro cards. I will be telling you guys what cards they are in case you cannot see them. But yeah, let's get right into it, guys. So I do believe we both mulligan here. I did win the die roll and I chose to go second. I want to go second here because I can play Okiku and Raizo turn 1. Going first isn't the end of the world. We do get the first attack in, as well as being able to play Yamato on turn 2 for 3 mana is really powerful. We can tap one of their creatures and kill it, trade it, which is important in this matchup, as well as getting a 6k body. So he's going to play Nami here. He's going to search the top 5 cards of his deck, and this is a really great opener for him, especially going first. Unfortunately, he does whiff here, which is highly unlikely, but does happen, guys. And a lot of people think, oh, well, who cares if he whiffs one Nami? It does really hurt the deck, you know, a lot more than you would think, because it does give you less plays in the future, and this whole deck is about keeping up your hand and keeping up tempo, right? So I go ahead and play Bonnie here and search for an Apu, which was my only target in those 5 cards. I think it was double Apu. I'll pass to my opponent, who will... I think he's going to swing with Nami into Bonnie here. That's the only thing that makes sense, and then probably swing at my life. But let's see what he does. So he does swing Nami into Bonnie, and obviously I'm not saving the Nami there, because he can just attack with Zoro right after. So he plays Brook and then puts the last remaining Dawn on his leader and swings for 8, which I'm not going to block. What he could have done there was put 1 Dawn on Zoro prior and then attacked with Nami. Like, at the end of the day, I'm probably not going to save the Bonnie, but if I were to save it, I would have to discard 2 cards with Nami to save it there if he had the 1 Dawn on Zoro. So I'm going to swing 5 into the Nami, I believe, because this whole matchup again is about trading board. I want to get rid of his cards as soon as possible, and I want to starve him, keep him on as little cards as possible until I can kill him. So I do trade the Nami there. I know I have a lot of options here. I think I have another Momo in my hand and a Bonnie, a couple blockers, but I do decide to play the Bonnie. I feel like Bonnie's a great card early. It gets me a lot of blockers. My win condition in this matchup is to play an 8-drop Kid and hope that they can't break it. So the more blockers I have, the better. So early searching here is great. I play a killer instead of a Momo, because if I play the Momo here, he's just going to Brook attack the Momo and Zoro attack the Bonnie. And I lose both my searchers for nothing there. So he's going to Zoro attack the Bonnie. I'm not going to block and save it because, again, he can just kill it with the Brook. And then he's going to spend 5 mana on a King Do. So I don't know if you guys know what this card is. It's just a vanilla 5 cost 7k. I've seen a couple decks tech it. I personally don't like it because I think the playstyle of Zoro should be a bunch of little guys attacking your face, you know, and King Do really slows it down. So this turn I use Kinemon's effect. 3 mana, play Yamato, and tap the Brook. I'm gonna kill the Brook with my leader, you know, and I really do think that this is a super important turn for me. So it's probably the turn where I really pull ahead, you know. He loses a lot here because he played that King Do. He spent his whole turn just playing 1 monster, rather than playing 2 or 3 1-drop units that he can pump up, you know. He doesn't have the tempo anymore. Suddenly I have more creatures, suddenly I have more mana, you know. At this point, I definitely take charge in this game. So I play the Toki. It is a blocker because I do have Yamato on the field, and I play the Momo, and I search with the Momo. So the order of those 2 cards doesn't matter, whether I played the Momo first and then searched or played the Toki, because again, it's just, there's no 1-drop I'm searching for with Momo other than Toki, so playing it in that order is fine there. If you notice this turn, I do have Punk Gibson in my hand. Rather than leaving 2 mana up, I'm gonna play all the cards in my hand. Punk Gibson taps a 4 cost or less on the counter, so him not having any, I get no value out of it. Punk Gibson is one of the cards I do want to see in my red matchup though, which is great that I'm seeing it here. So he's gonna Zoro kill my Momo. I'm not gonna block here. I could block both these attacks, but it's not worth it to save the Momo. Like I said, I do want to save these for my 8-drop kid. He is my win condition. I got 2 blockers on the field right now, so I'm in a good spot to think about playing 8-drop kid soon if I have it in my hand right now. So he's gonna Brook, put 2 mana on the King Do and attack me for 9. I'm going to take that. It's fine for me to take life early here. Again, 8-drop kid, that's the win con. He plays a Sunny and he passes, leaving a lot of mana up. It leaves me to believe that he has some kind of event in his hand, if not multiple events. I'm going to be on 8 mana this turn, so I probably want to play an Odin because I am at that part of the game where I can afford to play an Odin because I have so much life. So I sneak an attack for 5 and he does take it, and then I sneak in another attack in with Yamato for 6. So he should know at this point that I'm going to play an 8 cost card here, which I do. I do play the Odin, and then I pass it over to him. So he's on 9 mana here. He's got 3 creatures. I've got 2 blockers. I'm probably not going to save the Yamato when he attacks it because I do want to save all these cards for my 8-drop kid whenever that comes. So yeah, that glared card there, guys, is the Brook that he played last turn. I know it is difficult to see. I'll try in the future not to have as much glare. So he puts 1 Dawn on Zoro. And he's going to... yeah, he's going to go 8,000 into the Yamato, and I'm going to let that die. I am not going to dedicate any cards in my hand or any of my blockers to saving that. I don't need it. At this point, it's just a vanilla, and I'm really only worried about him hitting my life because it is, after all, a red deck. So he puts 1 Dawn on Sunny to make him 5,000, attacks my life. I think I'm going to probably take this because I want more cards in my hand. I want 8-drop kid. I want 7-drop kid. Okay, I don't take this. Right, okay. So he attacks again for 5 with Brook. And I do take this one. Okay. And then 7,000 attack with his leader. And I take that one as well, putting me at 1 life. So I'm getting into the danger zone here, but I know I can kind of trade his board here. I do have the Odin. Don't forget the Odin attacks twice. So I can basically clear his whole board next turn. And then he plays a Robin. So Nico Robin is definitely a problem card. It gets rid of my blockers. It is pretty annoying. I am going to 10 mana here though, so expect a big drop or a bunch of attacks with Odin, my leader. So I do see a 7-drop kid and an 8-drop kid in my hand. A Bonnie, an Okiku, and a couple 2k counters. So I'm probably thinking here if it's worth it to trade board or if it's worth it to drop 8-drop kid or 7-drop kid. And I've already got the 2 blockers on the field. Toki is a blocker because I do have Odin up. So again, this is another big turn for me, right? If I'm trading board here versus if I'm playing the big drop kids. And this is probably one of the most crucial parts of the game where it is a game making or game breaking decision that I have to make here. Okay, so I only dedicate one Dawn onto my Odin to try to kill the King Du. So King Du is 7k, and I'm attacking with a 9k. He would have to discard 2 cards unless he had an event, at least 2 cards, to save this here. And I do have 9 Dawn up, so I can still play 8 Kid. I can still play 7 Kid. Now in his head, he's probably thinking the same thing, you know. He knows I can still play 8 Kid. But if he blocks here with 2 cards, if I want to kill the King Du, I cannot play a big drop this turn because I'd have to use 3 mana. So he does discard 2 cards. I think it was an Otama and a Brook. So 2 2k counters to save this King Du. So I'm just going to go ahead and swing into the Sunny. Sunny will die. Uncontested. And yep, that's it. 8 mana for 8 drop Kid. Do I have another blocker? Yeah, tap him. Okay, I have another killer. And then that last Dawn goes under him for the taunt. So I got 1 life, I got 8 drop Kid, and 3 blockers. Yeah, he has a Nico Robin. But guys, if he doesn't have Otama Pistol or a Gordon or something to get over this 8 Kid, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to win the game with the 3 blockers. And all the cards that I have in hand, I can see double 2 or 3 Apus and 2 of them in my hand, plus the Izo. That's 6k counter right there alone. Okay, so he does have the Gordon. He's going to shrink the Kid. So the Kid is 5k now, which is significantly easier for him to get over now. Oh, and the Otama. Okay, so Kid's going to 3,000 here, which is killable by Nico Robin. So he has a couple choices he has to make here, right? He can go 1 Dawn under Robin, attack the Kid and pop a blocker, and I'd have to either discard a couple cards from my hand or use another blocker. And then he can use the Brook and the King Du and his leader to all attack the 8 drop Kid. See, so I think he's thinking here, should I just attack with Robin and use Robin's effect to kill 8 Kid to guarantee that it dies, right? Versus greeting and attacking with Robin and popping a blocker and expecting me to use all the cards in my hand and my blockers to save my 8 cost Kid. So he puts 1 Dawn under it, which I believe is to kill the 8 Kid. Yeah, so he's popping the 8 cost Kid with the Robin while attacking the 8 cost Kid with the Robin. So now that threat is gone for him, which is pretty bad for me, you know. Yes, I do have 3 blockers on the field, but I just lost my win conditions. So let's see. Suddenly he has, you know, a couple more monsters. He has a lot of board pressure. I only have 1 life to his 3 life. So it was looking grim for him earlier, and then the Dadan Surge really puts him ahead here. Yes, I do have an Odin, but he's attacking me 6 times next turn with this board, you know, to my 1 life, right? He's easily clearing all my blockers, you know. He can get over the Odin if he really wants to. He takes another Otama, another 2k counter. It's going to be tough. It's anybody's game at this point from that Gordon Otama. So he's going to go 5 to my life with Brook. And I will discard a 1k, which is my Bonnie, to not take that damage. $7,000 to my life. I'm going to take. So this is a risky take for me here. I know a lot of people aren't playing Jambe, but it is a card, you know. He hits me for 8, and I block with Toki. So it is important for me to block with Toki there. The killers are just overall blockers that draw me a card. The Toki is only a blocker when I have Odin on the field. So using the Toki there first is what you guys should be doing every single time. If Toki is ever a blocker and you need to use a blocker and you have multiple ones, always use the Toki first. So he's going to pass it over to me. I'm at 10 Dawn. It looks like I've got about 6 or 7 cards in my hand. I got a lot of cards. I got a lot of options here. I know I've got 7 cost Kid in my hand. So this could definitely be a turn to put 1 Dawn on Odin, swing into King Du, which he's probably not saving because it looks like he has 2 cards in his hand only. And then maybe drop a 7 cost Kid, and then the 2 mana under the killers. Well, let's see what happens here. So he has 1 Dawn up. That leads me to believe he has Radical Beam in his hand or a guard point, but I know Radical Beam is seeing a lot more play now in these other decks, so I do think he's holding a Radical Beam. Also why he's thinking for so long if he wants to save that King Du. I go 6,000 into Nico Robin after the King Du dies, because I really need this Robin to die. You know, it's going to kill a blocker next turn, and again, he's thinking here. It honestly might even be worth it for him to save it here, but I'll probably use a killer to kill it if he did end up saving it here. So he does let the Robin die. I've got 8 mana left. Okay, so I put 1 on killer and I attack the Brook for 3,000. So I do this because I have Paradise Waterfall in my hand. I can restand that killer. Okay, yeah. So he discarded a card to save the Brook, a 1k counter. I restood the Odin to kill the Brook because I really need to get rid of as many monsters on his field as possible. And I'm leaving up 3 Dawn for my Paradise Waterfall and my Punk Gibson. So this week I was testing both of them. I still like Paradise Waterfall more than I like Punk Gibson, but Punk Gibson is not bad. So Punk Gibson, it's great in the red matchup. It really, really does help you. So he Vistas my killer here. And in hindsight, I didn't, this is a play I really want to point out. I did not need to put a Dawn under the killer that was tapped, because all that really does is tell him that I have Paradise Waterfall, right? Because one of those 2 killers is going to die first and draw a card likely, and the other one will not be drawing a card because there's only 2 monsters on the field now. So it was really bad that I put a Dawn on that killer. It really tells him that I have Paradise. So he goes 7,000 with that end into my leader. I'm going to Paradise here, I think. Yep. So I go to 7 and then a 1k. Looks like a Toki there in my hand. Yeah, I'll go to 8,000 and not take that. And suddenly my killer is live again. So not only did this killer take a card out of his hand because it needed it when he saved the Brook, but it's also a blocker again now. Which is why I can't stress enough how good of a card Paradise Waterfall is this format. Okay, he goes to 8 with his leader and he attacks my leader, and I go to 9 with Punk Gibson and tap the Vista. So he leaves 1 Dawn up. You're not doing that unless you have a card like Radical Beam or Guard Point in that situation, because you know I'm leaving 2 Dawn up for Punk Gibson. You need to hit me for at least 9 there, not 8, right? So I'm gonna play around a Radical Beam this turn. Yeah, because that 8 attack just can't be correct. So I've got 10 Dawn. I'm going to go 5 into the data end to kill it, 8 into the Vista. And I'm probably going to look for a 7-drop Kid play here. Maybe I have an Okiku as well, so 7-drop Kid and Okiku seems like a very good turn here. But again, he is still on 3 life and I'm on 0. But he only has an Otama on the field. But again. Okay, so I'm going to go 3 into restanding Odin and swinging at his life. This puts him at 2. This is another one we need to talk about. I opted to do this instead of spending that 3 mana on an Okiku, right? I did this because this sets up lethal for me next turn, right? I can do a lot of damage next turn, and I only need to hit him 3 times to win. So I do think that is correct over the Okiku. So he's going to play Nami here. And I know there's a lot of glare, but he played Nami and he searched for Zoro, which seems correct because he's probably has to kill me this turn. He probably knows, you know, if he doesn't kill me this turn, he is losing next turn because Odin's attacking twice for, you know, at least 9,000. I got a 7k beat stick on the field plus my leader 10 Dawn. Like, I got the works. So he just searches for Zoro off of the Nami and he plays Makino to pump his Otama. So his Otama's at 4,000 with Zoro's effect. And he looks like he's going to go to 7,000 with it. So because he's doing this whole play, it leads me to believe that Zoro was the only target in his hand when he searched with the Nami. Because it's probably better to play Zoro here and use your mana a little bit more correctly. Attack with Makino, or sorry, summon the Makino and pump the Otama last, not first. So I do think that Zoro was the only target in his hand there. So I use the killer to block the 7k from the Otama. He goes 9,000 to my leader. I'm probably going to block and discard to save my blocker because he has no attacks left with 1 mana. Yeah. So I'll block and go to 10,000. And then he will pass. And again, I am reading the Radical Beam. I'm going to play around that. He's got 2 cards in hand. So I think I swing for 5 here. Yeah, because if I swing for 5 here, it gives me a lot of information, right? If he discards a 1k, okay, he has the 1k. But if he doesn't, it tells me that he either only has a 2k in his hand, Radical Beam, or no counters, right? Because that 5k swing is such high value for him to block. And if he does block the 5k, then I hit him for 7. Yeah, so I do go 5k here. And let's see if he discards a 1k. If it's taking him this long to think about it, I don't think he's going to block it. Yeah, so he takes a life. He has 1 life left. Now I'm probably gonna, yeah, I'm gonna swing for 7 here, forcing out. He has 3 cards, right? And we know he doesn't have a 1k. Okay, so it is Radical Beam. We force out the Radical Beam there, and then at this point it's just 15k twice with Odin, right, to secure the win.